welcome to the October 12th Kittleville Hills Board of Commissioners meeting. We will call this meeting to order. And if you would please rise and join us for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Bear with me with just a couple of comments before we move into a moment of silence. This past week and the last few days have been stressful to say the least. We witnessed unprecedented flooding throughout our town, leaving residents with damaged homes and cars and property. While the water has subsided each day a little more, this week, throughout the week, our neighbors and our neighborhoods and our community is far from being normal. Despite all of our roads being traversable now, we still have homes without water and water standing in bottom floors and in yards throughout the town. During this time of rebuilding and recovery, I encourage all of us to be patient with each other and with ourselves. We need to call on help when help is needed, and we need to offer help when we're able. We have an incredibly strong community, and together in time we will return to normal. And until then, let's pray for each other and offer hands of assistance for those in need. We witness our community time and time again strengthening after occurrences like this, where neighbors are helping neighbors. Today I just heard a story of a woman who had significant damage of flooding in her bottom floor. And she said outside she was moving things out with tears in her eyes, and some neighbors walked up and started helping her. And she said actually she had lived there for a couple of years and hadn't even met her neighbors. And now they've all exchanged phone numbers and are lending a hand. And that is the spirit of our community, not just in Kittleville Hills, but throughout the Outer Banks. And so as we move through the days ahead and people are still struggling, that's what will help, is us lending hands of help for one another. So in addition to the prayers for healing for those that are still dealing with the aftermath of Matthew, I also ask for your prayers for the Bear family. Richard Bear passed away in the early morning hours on Sunday. Richard was a true community servant in every sense of the word. He served as a Kittleville Hills Commissioner for a short while. He served on the Dare County School Board. He was a Scoutmaster that has helped hundreds of Scouts grow in their Scoutship as well as become Eagle Scouts. And for the last 31 years, it's unbelievable, he has served on the Zoning Board of Adjustment for the town of Kittleville Hills, and for most of those years has actually been the chairman. I had the pleasure of serving for about 6 years almost with Richard on the Zoning Board of Adjustment, and just an unbelievable man. Richard's also the epitome of a family man. Anytime I would sit beside him occasionally at Rotary, and the first thing out of his mouth was always asking about my two boys. So as we move into our moment of silence with lots on people's minds and in their hearts, if you'll just keep Sonny, his wife, and his children Luke, Alex, and Zoe in your thoughts and prayers. And with that, we'll call for a moment of silence. Thank you. A couple of other, before we move on with our approval of the agenda, just a couple other comments. Speaking of folks without power in our storm, we have a new community liaison. That's probably not her exact title with Dominion Power, but her name is Pam Heckran. And she has been phenomenal in her communication throughout this storm with elected officials and whatnot. I emailed her this morning asking for an update for our citizens since we had a meeting tonight. And as of 3:30 p.m., she said for Kittleville Hills, we have 279 outages, still folks without power. But after tonight, there will be 120. They are scheduled through 11 p.m. tonight to be working, and 109 people for residences between 3:30 and 11 p.m. tonight will be re-energized or brought back in line. There are 50 properties that, because of standing water, not from the road. It's not the road that's prohibiting access, but either the lawns or the yards or something. There's still 50 that had come at the bottom of the restoration list just because of access, but they're monitoring those closely, and as soon as they can get access, that's what they're doing. So, put it in perspective, as of this evening, across Dare County, not including Hatteras, but there were 629 without power. But yesterday morning, it was 5,000. So they are working just amazing work that Dominion Power is doing in our community. If you have been across the causeway and seeing the 18 to 20 trucks and lined up and restoring all those poles, it's just nothing less of spectacular. And so my hat's off to them, as well as our town staff, our first responders, fire, police, and certainly county EMS. Throughout this planning department, you guys just have done a wonderful job with our community, and so thank you all very much. With that, we can move on to agenda approval. I actually have a motion for our agenda for tonight with one change. I'd like to make a motion to approve the agenda for tonight's meeting, but relocating the town attorney's agenda immediately following the first response to public comment.
I'll second that.
Okay, so motion and a second. Any discussion or comment? All those in favor, please signal by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Great, thank you. So with that, we will move right in then to the first time set aside this evening for public comment. Is there anyone? The three of you here representing the public, four of you tonight that would like to speak. Thanks for being here. Anyone?
I just have a question for Steve, when you go up there.
It would be helpful just for people watching, because that way it would pick up the audio. Thanks, Skip.
Skip Jones, 1508 Captain's Lane. I just got a question for the town. I know in another town that I'm working in, a house I built years ago, X zone flooded twice in the last 2 weeks. There's still 12 inches of water in that particular area. Do we have anything in place that, I mean, these people have nowhere to go, basically. They've talked to everybody in Currituck County. I know that's a whole different thing. I'm just curious if we have any way to rectify that situation, whether it be, maybe the fire company pump it someplace, or I don't know. But these people have been flooded for 3 weeks, and it doesn't look like it's going to end anytime soon. Do we have any way to deal with something like that in our town?
When you say, make sure I'm understanding what the challenge is, you're talking about moving the water or a place for the people to go?
Just moving the water, pumping the water from one spot. They're only maybe 4 or 5 houses from the ocean. So, I mean, there's a place for it to go, but there's nobody that's set up in order to take care of that situation. It doesn't happen that often, but it's 3 times in 11 years, I guess it's happened. So basically their house sits there and it's probably going to mildew because they can't get rid of the water. I was just curious if we have any
I'm not
way
aware
to-
of anything that we have. I know we have a number of people that have bought individual pumps that are pumping water out privately or have hired contractors, but I'm not aware of anything that we're providing.
Oh, come up there. Or?
Yes, please.
I'm still reeling a little bit. It was completely unexpected. 13 inches of rain in 6 hours, and the pictures on Sunday, it's kind of disbelief how much water there was, but it was impressive. Sunday night a little better. Monday morning, the north end served by the Raymond Ditch was generally down and dried up, and then North Memorial started drying up during Monday, and then come in Tuesday, and basically between the highways is pretty much dry, other than the Martin Street block of Memorial, and even we had water persistent at West 4th Street and West Durham, and the 158 major ditch that goes out by Oyster Point, that had all caught up Monday night into Tuesday morning, and those areas were dry. So generally, we're more fortunate, I think, that area because of the drainage system we have. I was in Ocean Acres today. There was terrible flooding in there right during the event, but I think in years past, before the drainage system, there would have still been feet of water in there, and people's yards are dry that may have had 6 inches of water in their ground level enclosure, but it's taken time, but it's not that long and it's went away. So there are a few areas off of 3rd Street, Pine Grove and Quail Lane where there is no drainage and the water level, the groundwater is up, and there's still some water persisting in backyards, but basically all the roads are dry, and I think for what the event was, our system responded very well. I don't know if that answered the question. We don't have anybody that I'm aware of that has feet of water under their house still.
So I guess if we don't now, we probably never will. So maybe it's a moot point. It bothered me that, you know, like I say, it's a different county, but it's a situation that I feel sorry for them. I mean, they wouldn't let us put fill in. We built the house because it's an X zone, but now they're in the holes that.
Yeah, and those areas that don't currently have drainage, the Third Street and the Whispering Pines, Pine Grove and Quail are on the street improvement special project, you know, short list, you know, and still maybe 5 years, but they're identified and they're in the near term for improvements where drainage and will help that out.
And Skip, the property that you're speaking of that's had this now a number of times, you said it's not in Kittle Hills?
No, it's not even in Dare County. It's in Ocean Sands.
Got it, okay,
But
encouraging.
I'm just curious. I mean, I know Kitty Hawk's had that issue on Lindbergh, and you know, I think they had some pumping stations. I was just, you know, it just bothered me. I was wondering if we had any way to deal with that if it did occur.
Well, hats off to the work that staff have been doing and engineers and the board with funding for the work that we've been doing with all of our street improvements, specifically the drainage over the past, 5-6 years. That we don't find ourselves in that, but, also looking at this specific storm, I think our engineers sent some projections out today based on the amount of rain that fell in such a short amount of time. I brought that with me tonight, yeah. He was terming it an epic rainfall that 13.7 inches came in 24 hours, but 13 of those fell in just a 6-hour period between 10 p.m. and 4 a.m. And when you look at the odds of that, that's like a 400-year possibility, 400-year storm. They talk about the 100-year storm. I mean, it's just defied all odds. And I really am, as much flooding as we did have out there, to be where we are on Wednesday with just happening in Sunday is pretty incredible. Not to diminish the folks that are still reeling with it, because I understand if you don't have power or if you still have standing water, you might not feel the same way that I do from a bigger perspective, but fortunate. So I hope we don't find ourselves in that situation, because we don't have a set system for that, other than for those, I do know for those folks that were pumping water out themselves personally, that they either bought the pumps or were contracting with someone to pump.
I mean, I agree with you. Our town's doing an amazing job. But this is like 3 times for this one house in 10 or 11 years, but twice in a 3-week period. So they're kind of reeling, and it just kind of bothered me that there's nothing they can really do about it.
And then just for other people's awareness, what I've heard, it's not actually legal to pump into the ocean, right?
Right.
So even if they had a pump, I don't know if there's I know people around town have purchased pumps and things, and they're pumping sometimes even into the street, because it's easier for that to get flowed out than anywhere else, but maybe they've got another place they could do it if they bought their own pump.
Yeah, not in this instance anymore. Maybe in Kittle Hills we could pump to the street and the drainage would take it away.
It's kind of a situation up there, the dune to 12, it's all low and it's all flooded right now.
Yeah, it's thicker than 3 or 4 lots. It's sad.
Thanks, Skip.
Thanks, good, thanks.
Okay, With that, we will, because we modified our agenda, we'll actually then move to the town attorney's agenda.
Alright, very good. And, I wanna say sorry for being late. I'm used to leaving work around 6:30 or 7, so I missed the heavy traffic. Cito, speaking of standing water, there's a lane drop in Kitty Hawk, and it was a standstill. I left my office at 5:10. It took me 20 minutes to get here when it only takes me 5. So I apologize for that, but anyway, I just wanted to let you guys know why I was here late. In any sense, at this point, if we could, I'd like to go into closed session.
Then I will make a motion that in accordance with the provisions of the North Carolina General Statute 143-318.11A3, I make a motion for the Board of Commissioners to enter closed session for discussions to protect the attorney-client privilege and to consider and give instructions concerning a potential or actual claim, administrative procedure, or judicial action concerning beach nourishment easements. It's a motion.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor, please signal by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. Okay, we will come out of closed session, or make a motion that we return.
Second?
All those in favor?
Alright.
Thank you.
I'll give a report on the closed session. So we went into closed session. The purpose of that was to protect the attorney-client privilege of that particular discussion. That discussion surrounded the beach nourishment easements and the condemnation actions associated with those particular easements.
Thank you. We will move then to going back up on the agenda to introductions and presentations. It's really just in our packet to, we don't have anyone here. Do we have, are we showing the video or just talking about the?
Actually, we were just gonna talk about it since we
Okay.
showed the video before, and the video is available. Someone was gonna be here depending on the storm, and, but what I had told Ron Curtis, was that we'd be happy to put it on the agenda and bring it up and have some discussion, because it is such a wonderful thing, and it's the 33rd annual, year for the Lions Visible Impaired Persons, otherwise known as the VIP Fishing Tournament, and it's slated for October the 17th through the 20th with the fishing day, if I'm not mistaken, is, that particular day is the 18th, isn't it?
I think they fish on multiple days. I was able
Oh,
to
do
go
they?
out there last year.
There's something on one particular day, and I can't remember what that is, but, yeah, it's an awesome thing. The fishing is on the Avalon, Nags Head, Jeanette's, Kitty Hawk Fishing Piers, 2 head boats, the Crystal Dome and the, Miss Oregon Inlet, and there's other events and banquets that will be held over at the, Lions Park in Manio. And it's just an awesome opportunity to either volunteer and participate or to participate financially. They have a couple of different ways you can do it. You can simply sponsor a fishing person, or they, I think it's actually done in November, they drop these golf balls that have numbers on it. You buy a number, or you buy the golf ball and you get the number, and then if your number is the one that's picked or whatever, it's $10,000 is the prize. So, anybody interested in any more information on that, you can, either, contact Ron Curtis or Gwen White, she's the president, or let me know and I'll be happy to hook you up with them. Thank you.
Thank you. And if you go online and you can Google
Oh, yeah.
the North Carolina, especially the VIP fishing tournament, you can access the video that we did show at last year's meeting, which is just phenomenal. I took the opportunity after watching that to go out there on the piers last year, and just a great, great experience.
Well, and just one other thing you see in the memo, it says there will be 525 VIPs and their guests, about 300 volunteers, plus about 125 high school and college student volunteers. Yeah, it's awesome. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you very much. We'll move on then to new business. Item number 1 is the report on the history of tattooing regulations. Meredith, as our planning director, had put together information that's in our packet at the request of the board for information on just history and what else is happening with our neighbors here and county regulations. So that is in our packet. Certainly Meredith is available if we have questions or discussion. Questions or, this was more presented just in a response to a question. There was no recommended action because it was just providing us with the information as requested.
Okay.
Does anyone have any additional questions or?
I mean, I think it's a good idea that we allow this in town.
I don't think we need to take any action, just if somebody applies, we can look at it. We're open to looking at it, rather than going out and making some kind of rule right away. I think we'd be better off just to wait and see if it comes to us. And word will get out that we're amenable to it, so.
Right, that was one thing I was just gonna get clarification on. We don't actually have an ordinance that doesn't allow it at this time.
Our ordinance, is written, if it's not included, it's not
It's
allowed.
not allowed. Okay.
That's why you see the ordinance on body piercing, because it is allowed, but we do have, certain restrictions and things that we require. And, so I think what Mayor Pro Tem is suggesting, that with the word getting out that it's something that the board would consider, that if someone is interested in doing this, that they should make an application to the planning department.
Any other questions? Okay, thank you. Thanks for putting the information together. All right, next under new business are several appointments. The first is to the Zoning Board of Adjustment. That is for one alternate and one regular position. Currently, Kevin Cox holds the alternate position and Robert Rollison III holds the regular position. Both desire to be considered for reappointment in those positions.
I'll make a motion that we reappoint both of those gentlemen.
Any discussion? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. Next is an appointment for the Street Improvement and Special Projects, and this is for actually an alternate member. That board is made up of 5 regular members and 1 alternate, and this position that we'd be appointing for is to fill the alternate spot.
We have 3 eligible individuals, and one of them is not necessarily interested in the Community Appearance Commission. Now, they're all 3 pretty recent. One was May, one was June, and one was July. So I think to be fair, if we go to the one that put it in first, that would be the soonest, rather. Christopher Stossner. He applied on May the 26th, and he would like to be on either the Street Improvements or Special Projects Committee or the Historic Landmarks Commission. And I'd like to make a motion that we appoint him to the Street and Special Projects Committee alternate.
Yes. Okay, so there's a motion to appoint Chris Stossner as the alternate member to the Street Improvement and Special Projects Committee.
I'll second.
Any discussion? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Great, thank you. And then we have the Community Appearance Commission. We have one regular appointment that needs to be filled, and that was vacated when Chris moved away.
Okay, there's the remaining 2. Both of them expressed a desire to be on the Community Appearance Commission. And the one that has had the application in the longest would be Natalie Painter from Helga Street. And I would like to make a motion that she be appointed to the Community Appearance Commission.
I'll second.
A motion and a second. Any discussion? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Great. Okay,
That leaves us with 1 applicant.
so yes, we need a few more applicants, but it's nice that we picked up 3, and I think that was from the push that we did in trying to get some more folks interested in serving on boards or committees. But yes, we're down to 1 person that has an application in, so if anyone is interested and is watching this, we're accepting applications at any time, and you can find that information on our website at kdhnc.com. And we welcome applications. All right, thank you.
Yeah, and I didn't even know anybody that talks about the time or seems interested or not, encourage them to come and see it.
Okay, we'll move on to the commissioner's agenda.
I just wanna say again, thanks to the town staff for the great communication throughout the storm. I mean, I really appreciated all the updates, and, you know, it was really helpful to be able to get that information out immediately, so, that's all.
Great, thank you. Ms. Rappin? Okay, thank you.
I'll say ditto to what Mike said, the information was great, and, also, it seems like a lifetime ago now, but, thanks to the town staff for the ice cream social, it was a wonderful time, as always. The weather was terrific, it actually felt kinda like fall, so it was a great time, it was very well attended, I think everybody had a really good time. I always like to see these, events where you get to see people that you don't always see, so it was great to see the staff, having fun and having a good time, and all the folks serving ice cream, it was really good. The kids got to have a good time, so yeah, it was fun, and, I wanna, thank Chief Tilly too for, participating. We had an Alzheimer's walk on October the 1st, and I wasn't able to be there because I was out of town, but, it was well attended as well, and the temperature there wasn't so cooperative. They tell me it was really, really, really hot, so, I know we had a fire truck that was there. We always, have representation there, and the kids love it. They like to go through and pretend they're firemen. They get to walk or go through the fire trucks and see that. So a little bit of something for everybody on that one. So the older folks get to walk and the kids get balloons and they get to eat. So that was fun too. So again, it seems like this time of the year we get to get into the family stuff. So it's a good time of the year. So thanks again. I think the staff's doing a great job.
Thank you.
Yeah, I'd just like to say, I want to thank staff, everybody involved in the recent developments here with the storm. I just want to thank everybody for what they do, what they've done, and it doesn't surprise me. We're kind of getting used to that, so thanks everybody.
Thank you. Okay.
We won't take you for granted though.
Right, thank you. Under Mayor's agenda, there's one item in your packet this evening. It's a resolution requesting summer traffic control from the NC Highway Patrol. As you're probably well aware, at the intersection up there at 158 and NC 12, local law enforcement between Dare County sheriffs and some of the towns have been having police presence during the summer out there to keep traffic flowing. It does make a difference. Certainly it puts the stress on the local law enforcement. Anyway, for 2 weekends this summer, the North Carolina Highway Patrol provided control assistance. And I think we are, basically the resolution is trying to see if we can get more support for that patrolling there. So we can basically have the coverage throughout the summer. I think just having that presence prevents folks from trying to rush that red light and then blocking up traffic and then just sitting there. So I know for the past couple of summers, that's really made a big difference in having that. So this will just be to request continued support from the North Carolina Highway Patrol. Any questions or comments?
Yeah, I heard a good deal about this when the tourism board, Mayor Perry came before the tourism board and was requesting a grant from the Visitors Bureau to help with paying for overtime for traffic control. There was kind of mixed feelings on the board about that. And I think the consensus was that try to do whatever can be done, getting the help from the state, especially because as the mayor said, they participated on 2 weekends out of the summer. And if we can use this to encourage them to participate a little more, and maybe we'll have to use some other means too, but I think this is a good start.
think, just one comment, I mean, I obviously support the resolution. I know this year in particular, and I don't have the figures in front of me, but the highway patrol was down significantly in their staff. You might know off the top of your head, I can't remember if it was 12 officers,
We're 5 short.
5 for this,
There's nothing there.
okay, for just,
And you have 12.
right,
So that, they're 5 short of 12.
So I still think we move forward with the resolution, but understanding that obviously if they're short on resources, they're, but if they were fully staffed, and hopefully next summer they will be, if they can provide support, I know it would be greatly appreciated, and it makes such a big difference. So, with that, I'll make a motion that we adopt the resolution as presented.
I'll second that.
Further discussion? All those in favor, please signal by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Great, thank you. The only other thing is I just wanted to draw everyone's attention to the pink ribbons that all of us are wearing. And there's pink ribbons in the back before you leave. October is Breast Cancer Awareness Month. And if you haven't seen on Facebook, or maybe you can take a little stroll tonight when you leave here, the town staff did an amazing thing with creating the pink ribbon out of lights at Frog Pond. So if you haven't seen that when you leave tonight, it's getting dark, but we're not going to keep you too much longer. But anyway, stroll by there. It's absolutely beautiful, and certainly to raise awareness, fight against breast cancer. So thank you, team staff, once again. Great job.
Yeah, they did an awesome job.
Yeah, it's beautiful. It really
It
is. It's neat. So, and that is all I have this evening. Town manager's agenda.
No, ma'am, I just, nothing other than I appreciate the board's, indulgence in allowing me to be out of a few meetings, and I appreciate Sean being here, but I did promise him that I would be here tonight.
Well, as I said before the meeting, we are happy to have you back and appreciate Sean stepping in, but nice to have you back with us.
Thank you, ma'am.
All right, anything else this evening, town attorney, or we're good?
No, that's it.
All right, then we'll move to the consent agenda.
Yes, ma'am, thank you. I have several items in your packet, and then I have one that I'd like to verbalize. First is the minutes from the September 14th meeting. The second is the personnel policy amendment to add veterans preference. I think you had some discussion at your last meeting, and as Sean told you, this was already on our radar. We just needed to do a little more work. It does recognize the contribution of our veterans, giving them credit for their service, schooling, and experience. And the town attorney has reviewed it and approved it. And with your approval of consent agenda, it will add the language to our personnel policy. Second is to schedule a public hearing on Beach Nourishment Municipal Service District, the MSD amendment. This has to do with the MSD results of the consent judgment, and we'd like to have a public hearing on this matter scheduled for Monday, November the 14th at 5:30. And again, your approval of the consent agenda will approve that public hearing. And then on the back of your page is the North Carolina Parks and Recreation Trust Fund Project, the part of grant agreement. This is the $250,000 grant for the extension of the Bay Drive multi-use path, phase 3 and 4. The town was awarded that grant. Really would like to thank the planning department with Meredith's guidance and their diligence in applying for this grant and monitoring the process and all the work they've got in front of them with the project. And then lastly, with Hurricane Matthew, as the board has done in the past, the authorization to waive the cost of the building permit fees related to the storm damage. This is simply storm damage. As always, we request people come in and get your permit so that we can monitor it, we can track it. That's very important, but there will not be a fee. And this is from yesterday, I believe, Meredith, when we first had people starting in through November the 10th, which is the day before Veterans Day. We were going to do it the 11th, but we'll be closed. And certainly that is something that if we run into a situation beyond that, we will take it individual by individual. But we felt like with this mostly being water damage, that people are going to want to come in and do what they need to do quickly. And I appreciate the board's willingness to do that. And with that, would ask for approval of the consent agenda as presented.
So moved.
I'll second.
Any discussion? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Great, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, this brings us to the second time set aside this evening for public comment. Any last words for public comment? Okay, seeing none, anything else from the board? No? Okay, a motion to adjourn would be in order.
So moved.
Second.
Any other discussion? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Great, thank you. Have a good evening. You
Thank
guys
you,
stay
everybody.
safe.